Greetings, and you have been pulled into the black dimension. This is Kev, and we're here to discuss this little situation right here. In some cases, as you would discover living throughout your life, then some things are better left unsaid. I would say. Um, and what's going on, Donnie?
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, everybody?
Yeah. Yeah, we're here to discuss this situation right here. Peter Dinklage made some comments on a podcast stating that, he commended the progressiveness of casting a Latina actress for the role of Snow White, saying that was progressive, but um, then turned around and said, but he felt like it was still kind of, I would say, not in these exact words, still kind of shitty that they're still dealing with dwarfs, um, citing that dwarfs were a stereotype, an offensive stereotype, so to speak. And the dwarf community itself has come out and basically said, "Who are you to speak for us?" It's us being little people in the first place that would these jobs are hard enough to get because I mean it's like I'll go ahead and say this. I have yet to see the first little person take on the role of Superman or a Batman, and even if they did, would they be taken seriously? Now, I believe that's where Peter Dinklage is coming from with it, but you have uh, Hornswoggle. Let me look up his real name real quick. I apologize for not having it ready. Daniel Mark Postal. I mean Dylan Mark Postal. That's what his name. Dylan Mark Postal is speaking out on this, and basically, who is Peter Dinklage, who already basically got the bag to speak for us. So, what do you think on this situation?
He's an elf. Don't call me an elf. But you're an elf. Come on, man. You can't go from that role to handing out moral judgments on and basically taking over the position or taking away from the positions of other dwarf actors. There's a lot of people who want to act and they're perfectly satisfied doing, you know, dwarf-like roles meant for little people. I think it's really him coming from a position of power and stating something that he may not want to do in his own life because he's elevated himself to a certain point. But there's a lot of actors out there who haven't gotten to where he is, and they're willing to do whatever they want to do or whatever it takes. Plus, I don't really see it as a bad thing because I mean, shit, that's what the story was called for. Seven White and or
Yeah,
Snow White and the Seven Dwarves.
yeah, and this is one of those timeless Disney classics. Now, as far as changes and such, I'm not a huge fan of changing from the original source material. I'm one of those guys that's just basically pro come up with your own stuff. You don't have to appropriate everything to just for a small group of people's feelings. But um, Peter Dinklage is one goddamn person, and is in and the dwarf community. The guy that played Hornswoggle, he may be a little correct. Is like, look, these roles are extremely hard to come by. I mean, think about how many little people roles that you've actually seen that outside of the roles Peter
Mhm.
Dinklage has done. It be taken serious. They're usually really comical roles for little people. Um, Let me see. Let's see. Look up the comments in this. Uh,
I'm curious. After we look at the comments, can you maybe pull up Peter Dinklage's IMDb?
okay, yeah. All right. It said. Here's what he said on the podcast. He said, literally, no offense to anyone, but I was taken a little. I was a little taken aback. They were very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Take a step back and look at what you're doing there. it makes no sense to me. So,
Mm,
like, then
yeah,
he,
he's sitting on his high horse.
yeah, then he goes on to say, you're progressive one way, but then you're still making that fucking backward story about seven dwarves living in a cave together. What the fuck are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. I don't know which studio that is, but they were so proud of that. All the love and respect to the actress and to the people who thought they were doing the right thing. But I'm just like, what are you doing? If you tell the story of Snow White and it's the most fucked up, cool, progressive spin on it, let's do it. All in. Yeah,
So were they supposed to cast a dwarf Snow White and then seven giants? Like how was this supposed to go?
I don't know, but speaking of Seven Giants, they did make a cartoon like back in the '80s called Snow White and the Seven Giants. I mean, it wasn't a Disney thing; it was like kind of an aftermarket kind of deal. But that story was told. But I guess so. Snow White and the Seven Children, which would be kind of weird. Yeah, that would be kind of Peter Panish.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's getting taken care of by orphans. I mean, she goes off into the woods. She needs some people to take care of her. Frankly, I feel like the seven dwarves, it gives them a little bit of shine. You got seven small people doing something that you wouldn't think is possible. They're living in the woods on their own, living the good life. And they take in a girl and take somebody. I don't see the problem there. It's not like she runs up on the seven dwarves and they're all making shoes for a living. Like, yeah, look, we're here doing, we're making cookies in this tree. Come on,
yeah,
man. You pick your battles.
yeah, and apparently Disney has caved in. Saying that they are looking into it and they are getting with the dwarf community to see if is a more progressive way to do this. Or just let me see if I can. But they say some dwarf actors actually disagreed, especially Dylan Postal, who has he worked in the WWE as Hornswoggle, and he explained it in an interview that he he all he ever dreamed about was working for the WWE ever since he was the age of 4, and he got to do his dream job for 10 years. But but what he was saying is for the dwarf community as a whole who wants to get into certain roles in acting that these roles are hard to come by, and like the playing one of the seven dwarves is an actual dream job for them. Did Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, very, very famous story. And finally, seven dwarf actors at the same time will get the opportunity to, live out their dream like he has. And the thing that's very wrong with that is that because of Peter Dinklage's comments, then seven dwarf actors just lost their opportunity. It's just one of those cases where, maybe sometimes you need to keep your stupid mouth shut. You know.
There can only be one dwarf actor in Hollywood. It must be me.
Yes. And Peter Dinklage is very, very successful. He went from being very unsuccessful to being very successful. And you're right. He's on this high horse. He thinks he could speak for the rest of them, and he actually can't. Like,
So,
go ahead.
so what do you think the argument here is? Is it that they're little people, that they're playing little people playing little people, or is this supposed to be like a role where we don't acknowledge that they're little people? Like they're little people, but you don't specifically say they're little people. They're just a regular guy. Is that what his issue is?
Yeah, I guess his issue is the slapstick comedy that comes along with being a dwarf actor. I mean, like they're the ones that prefer words like I will say dwarf and little person as compared to the word midget. So I guess he just has this thing about being a really short guy, and that can be, I guess, psychologically taxing on someone like that. I mean, being it's just like being somebody who's, I guess, extremely overweight. I mean, even though you can do something to change that, it must be, the way people view you. I think that's what his problem is. But at the same time, you still can't speak for people who have accepted who they are. You know, it just if it's your
So,
problem, it's your problem.
yeah, this is out of control. All right, can we pull up homie's IMDb?
IMDb, okay.
Because my thing is all right. Where did you start? How did you start? How did you get your name in Hollywood? It better be in a great role that has nothing to do with you being a dwarf.
Yeah. And I
I
mean,
mean,
I think we
we're
all
on the
know
high
that.
horse.
IMDb.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be something ridiculous. Pixie number 3, Santa's helper in the store. Like, watch.
Peter Dinklage. Okay. Okay. Film actor, 86 credits. This was just announced. The Dwarf.
Wait, what?
Uh, the Dwarf. This was just announced.
So Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs problem. The Dwarf starring him, no problem. Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, he probably it's probably like I don't one of those premises that might because he was a dwarf he got treated a certain way. Maybe
Mm.
it's one of those serious films. Oh look, 2006, Little Fugitive, Sam.
Huh. Little fugitive, huh? Hmm. What else we
Okay.
got there?
Uh, 2003, Elf, Miles Finch,
Mm.
The Street, Little Person. He's just cast as Little Person.
Yeah. So what I see here is Highlander Complex. All of this is fun and games, but the next movie that I saw advertised is he's supposed to be Cyrano. He's supposed to be Cyrano de Bergerac, and my understanding of Cyrano de Bergerac is he had a debilitating face deformity, something like a super long nose. He was just not an attractive guy, and Cyrano was known for being a ladies' man, so he could help you get a woman. And the whole premise was the ugly guy is able to talk through his friend to a woman and basically, win the woman's heart. But he really wanted the woman, so he couldn't stand out there and do it. So now instead of him being a long nosed weirdo with the ugly face, I'm assuming they're making it based off of him being a little person. Is that where we're going? He's getting the girl based on him being a little person.
Yeah, because it'll be kind of useless for him to have like a large nose. I mean, like you're gonna be a little person and have a large nose, and people are just gonna be like, "Oh, he has a large nose. Oh my God." I mean, it's. I mean, that probably would be the premise. So, but I do see what you're trying to say. So, when being a little person works for him, it's okay. But just it might be this. It might be a breakout for one of those dwarf actors. I mean, he might not be the only dwarf in town anymore. So you may have a point with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's unfair. I mean, Hornswoggle, I believe he has a point. It's unfair to the rest of them. You're this big Hollywood actor. You're successful. You're award winning. You got your bag. We still trying to get the bag, and now we can't get it anymore because the world's too goddamn sensitive. And, that's just what it is at the end of the day. And it happens like that all the time. It always be these upset virtue signaling jerks that will call themselves stepping in for other groups and being angry about certain things when the group doesn't even ask for it. Is basically what I heard in the interview is like they called him like who are you to be King Dwarf? Who are you to speak for us? Let us decide this. So, I think everyone's a little upset. But
Well, hopefully, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had between that community, and I think they'll get it together. But based on my boy Hornswoggle, I mean, I'm with him. You're taking away jobs from people who want to act. I understand the dignity and self respect of it, but don't have a history of being out here tap dancing. Then all of a sudden you want to say, oh, well, people don't want to tap dance.
yeah, yeah. And then, man, let me tell you something. Hornswoggle's first ring name. I mean, it wasn't Hornswoggle. Okay, let me tell you what it is. Get ready. It was Little Bastard. His first ring name. It was Little
Just running
Bastard.
in, hitting people in the nuts.
Yeah, 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 like taking he was running in with Finley, so he'll come from under the ring, and then he'll get in the ring and then just mess the other wrestler up with Finley Shillelagh, probably bite him or some shit like that, because that's a little people move, biting motherfuckers. So I mean, that's what he did. But I would say that he was very entertaining to watch, to say the least. But little people are entertaining, and I guess that's what's hurting the other guy's feelings. But and like I said, what if another little person actor broke out playing a role in that film? Disney is on a large scale, and since they've been rebooting all these classics, they've been pulling out all stops. So I would say those are good, reasonable possibilities.
Yeah, it's real shit.
Yeah, but anyway, do you have anything left to say on this particular matter, Mr. Donnie?
Nah, let the elf speak and let the community get in his ass.
Yeah, man. That's just what it is, man. Shout out to Brotherly Love 215 that stopped by earlier, and yeah, let's I guess we can go ahead and end it here. So for all of you watching, please subscribe, and you have been pulled into the black dimension. Good luck finding your way out. Till next time.